I literally spend 2 hours every day on Letterboxd planning what to watch that night. If I was 10 and had this platform, I would have lost my mind. It would have been unbelievable. So I have a private list of my all-time favorites, which has about 42 films on there. It's pretty eclectic. You know, I love Click with Adam Sandler as much as I love Die Hard and as much as I love the 4 favorites on my thing. John Wick 4, I think, is one of the greatest action films ever made. It's not on my top 4 favorites, but that doesn't mean it's not in my top 4 favorites, if that makes sense. I just put them up because I really like the posters. The first and top of all time is The Big Blue, a man who ultimately really chooses the ocean over the girl. And it's just such a beautiful movie. I grew up watching it. When I was a kid, my mum showed it to me on VHS. They remastered it in 4K recently, and I'd only ever seen like the SD, HD version. The remasters that are happening at the moment are unbelievable. The second film on the list is Knight of Cups, the Terrence Malick film. I don't know, there's something about Terry Malick's films that he's made sort of between 2005 and now. I feel like I connect somehow just in these sort of whimsical, improvised moments that reflect the little moments in our lives, and if I'm in the right mood, it can change my life, and that's exactly what Knight of Cups did for me. Another movie, and the most contemporary movie on the list, even more than Knight of Cups, is a movie called Waves by Trey Edward Schultz. Changed my life. I went and saw it at a little art house cinema in Sydney, and I was like, this is my childhood. This is like when I was growing up. I remember Channel Orange, Frank Ocean came out. The soundtrack to the movie and the age that the protagonists are in the film was kind of the age I was when I was listening to that. That and The Big Blue are unchanging on the top 4. And then a movie that's on my top 4 at the moment is a lot heavier because I'm about to direct my first film and it has a lot of correlation with that, so that's why it's there. But it's Gaspar's film Irreversible. The way that Gaspar makes movies is so interesting. I'm just really interested in auteur filmmakers whose brains work differently, who are kind of willing to push the envelope. Irreversible is such a great example of telling a night out of order for the audience. So in awe of both of those performers and like the strength and bravery that it would have taken to do that movie, and then went and watched Gaspar's entire filmography. And that's really largely like the course of my Letterboxd is I sort of drive very far into like one nano genre or genre in general, and then I sort of plow through that, and then something else will take my interest and I'll get inspired by that. I love the similar films down the bottom when you're on a main film page and you can toggle to similar movies. I think that's been really helpful. Like I recently watched The Best Offer with Jeffrey Rush, which is a movie I hadn't seen before, amazing, and then toggled to similar films and ended up getting directed to Perfume, Story of a Murderer. I used to watch like 3 films a day. I'd wake up 5 a.m, watch something light, middle of the day watch something heavier in like a lunch break, and then in the evening I'd watch something with my partner, and she loves thriller, drama, horror, those kind of genres, crime. So I'd be watching horror or action during the day, comedy in the morning. Now I try and really savor, really curate in a different way, really plan ahead. You know, my watch list was like at 500 and now it's at like 75. And I have a particular reason why I'm holding off watching Kids or Gummo or whatever, you know, or why I'm holding off watching Paddleton because I'm going to cry my heart out. I know one of the biggest inspirations for the director of Went Up the Hill was Ingmar Bergman's Persona, and you can see it reflected in the composition of the shots, the shapes, everything, even thematically and narratively. It's very similar in a lot of different ways. I was familiar with Vicky Krieps, obviously, from Phantom Thread, but wanted to watch Corsage and other films of hers to get a bit more of an insight. Watching some of Vicky's films, watching Samuel's previous film, and then Persona was a big way in. When someone asked me, like yourself, like maybe not what are your 4 favorites, but what have you watched recently that you liked, it was a really good opportunity for me to be able to go and pull up what I had hearted or given 5 stars in the last 2 or 3 months. And I could scroll down my diary and kind of go, okay, well, these are the movies I saw in cinema, these are the movies I streamed, and this is what I enjoyed recently. A friend of mine who I grew up watching movies with and sharing movies and music with, he was the first person to tell me about Letterboxd years ago. So I started using it for a couple of years just in that capacity as a watch list. Then I started using the diary and actually logging my films. Been using it ever since, and I think I'm like up to 1,500 logs or something like that. The platform's really good for short films. I feel like short films by and large are extremely hard to find, and the algorithm and the filters in the search that you can use for short form content is really good. I live for movies. I live for it. I love movies so much. Like, changed my life.